What's up, you guys? I'm Dan. This is Frugal Not Cheap. Today, let's talk about some exciting things happening in 2023. Well, there's definitely a negativity bias that's out there in the media. Basically, negative items generate more attention than do positive items. That's why the news isn't full of, like all those kind of fluff pieces and stuff. It's mostly negative stuff. And there are plenty of negative items out there to pay attention to. In fact, as of this filming, very recently, Silicon Valley Bank had gone into receivership after a run. Then, of course, we have the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, and any other number of negative issues. But I wanted to focus on some stuff that is positive, some things I'm excited about that have either happened or look like they're going to happen this year in 2023. So the first one I already made a video on. That was Tesla's recent Investor Day. It's a very, very long thing, but there are some sort of supercuts that will help to trim down and condense to give you the most important information coming out of that event. Traders didn't seem too excited about it. The stock price fell following the event. But, to me, I think it's really exciting. It was the announcement of a new factory in Mexico, about Tesla trying to go for a much larger scale of production at an annual rate of 20 million cars. And their next model, they aim to produce at half the cost of the Model 3. We already knew that, but it's exciting to see that they're going to do that and also where they're going to do that, which is the factory in Mexico. And then also there were some signs that they're going to be ramping up solar storage with some new products in that category, and then also getting into HVAC with residential and commercial heat pumps. So exciting roadmap for Tesla coming from there. The next exciting thing is another Tesla item, and this is full self-driving beta version 11. So version 11 has been, long awaited. In fact, it's been, I think, at least a year since the original talk about version 11 single stack was coming out. The idea is basically, FSD was, its domain was on city streets, and then we had a separate stack which did all of the highway driving, and this was a, very stable, long-used stack on the highway. So the one stack to rule them all, the FSD version 11, was so that the neural network would be able to handle both situations, both city driving and highway driving. Appeared to be very, very difficult. And then we got sort of what looked like a monkey wrench thrown in the works, where Tesla had agreed to do a quote-unquote recall to address some issues that NHTSA had identified in the way that FSD drives, related to turn-only lanes, and then also to yellow lights and stop signs. So we thought things might have been slowed down, but as of this filming, FSD beta version 11.3.1 had not only gone out to employees, but not too long after that also went out to the early access beta testers. These are people like Chuck Cook, and I can't remember, I think it's Chris with Dirty Tesla, Rob Moore from Tesla Daily, he's got it, and Holmar's catalog as well. So a bunch of people have it. Elon did say that there needs to be a little bit more polish, maybe another point release or so, before this goes a little bit wider. But I'm very excited to get that, and obviously when I get it, I'll be quick to film a video and let you know what my experience is like with FSD beta version 11. The part that I'm excited about is that they'll be kind of unifying the architecture so that they can focus resources back, so they don't have to kind of divert attention to the autopilot stack, even though not much work was being done there anyway. But it also means that that part of it will no longer be stale, and they've also implemented a lot more neural nets in terms of the planning process, and so hoping to start to see more and more improvement in the way that the car is able to drive itself. It is pretty amazing. It does do some stuff that I don't like. Obviously it's not perfect, but and you can see my latest video with some of my gripes about that, but it's still pretty amazing that generally my car is capable of driving itself with supervision, but it's still an amazing thing, and I can't wait to watch it improve further. The next thing this year that I'm excited about is not a Tesla thing, but it is another Elon Musk company thing, and this is the Starship orbital attempt. So they've been building this massive vehicle that, well, it's a two-stage thing. It's got a giant booster, and then also, the top part, I guess the first stage, which will carry the crew or cargo, and eventually will hopefully be able to refuel in orbit and then go on to Mars. And it's also been selected to go to the moon by NASA as well. Anyway, it looks like things are finally getting to a place where they may do an orbital launch attempt. Things slowed down a lot. We thought that they might be able to make an attempt sometime last year, following the initial few tests of just getting the booster to, the Starship to go up, then turn horizontal, fall, and then do this kind of kick out maneuver and then land. They eventually did get it after a couple of, rapid, unscheduled disassemblies. So they got that done, and Everyday Astronaut has been tracking kind of a checklist of milestones they need to hit as we head towards this orbital launch attempt. Elon says that, obviously success isn't guaranteed, but excitement is. And it looks like we're getting pretty close. As of this checklist, it looks like we need to do still a final full stack, maybe after we do a 33 engine static fire. And there may be some different testing that they need to perform with that full stack of the booster and the first stage. Then we just need to get the final launch license, and then we're off and we'll see what happens. So I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen, hopefully within the next month or so. But this will be a really big step forward in drastically reducing the cost of getting payload to orbit, and thereby starting to drive the forcing function towards where we can start to develop as an interplanetary species. The next thing happening this year that I'm excited about is another Tesla item, and that is finally heading towards production of the Cybertruck. This is a really crazy looking brutalist vehicle, but highly capable, and hopefully they can do well with the price point. I'm sure there will be a delivery event coming up sometime, hopefully this year, where we'll see those initial deliveries as the production starts really getting going. As of right now, the latest news we have is definitely there's a lot of hiring going on at Giga Texas, and we also know that the large presses from Idra to make the casting have arrived and have been installed. So we're excited to see what happens there. This is going to be a really crazy looking vehicle. I can't wait to see my first one on the streets. I've only seen pictures. It's got to be even crazier in real life. And the second to last item we'll talk about today is also from an Elon Musk company. It is Neuralink. This is the effort to develop a brain-machine interface, or brain-computer interface. Basically a little chip that's connected to Bluetooth that has all these electrodes that go into your brain. They're very thin, thinner than a human hair. And so then they're able to capture activity, maybe even write as well. So it could be read-write is the idea. So far they've really only practiced with reading, I believe. But anyway, they do have a lot of job postings, and they're building out more of the facility out in Austin and trying to develop the manufacturing process. And so we saw a recent tweet from Neuralink itself saying fresh out of the oven, as if they had baked these chips. But I think this is an indication that they are refining their manufacturing process, which of course will be important later on in order to get those unit economics at a place where this is going to be a viable product. So far, we haven't seen FDA approval for any human testing trials yet, but they did open up their patient registry late last year. FDA did reject an earlier application, I think it was from around September of 2022, so I'm sure they'll be working on refining that, and may or may not have already submitted another application, I don't know. But definitely something to keep an eye on, and has a lot of really cool potential in the future. Obviously possible dystopian elements, and something we need to be careful of. But the initial stuff is going to be really sort of the high impact medical stuff, I think, which will be helping people that have lost limb function in some way be able to interact with the world better using this interface, and I think that's pretty amazing. And the last item I wanted to talk about today is finally one that's not related to Elon Musk directly, although it is indirectly, because he helped to found OpenAI, and that's one of the ones pushing this field forward. And that is, of course, the broader move of bringing AI more accessible to consumers or users. So one that you've probably heard a lot about is ChatGPT from OpenAI, and this has become kind of the backbone for a new Microsoft Bing chat feature, because they basically made a huge investment in them. So this thing's pretty amazing. It sounds extremely human-like because, of course, it is trained on humans, and so it's pretty uncanny. It isn't perfect, and sometimes it doesn't tell the truth. It also Unfortunately, both in the implementation from OpenAI and the one from Microsoft in Bing, between the user and the AI itself, the LLM, there's a layer here that can censor and kind of stop it from answering certain questions, and that layer also has a huge political bias, unfortunately. And so, yeah, not great. Hopefully we're going to see, the advent of some other LLMs that will not have this political bent to it, or kind of an ideological bent to them. So hopefully that will be the case. There's really nothing preventing that from happening as long as people can get the hardware. These techniques are really, relatively easy to copy. So in that sense, the barriers are really not that high. It's just sort of in terms of the capital and the machinery. And it's not just, of course, in this sort of chat kind of language deal. It's also in the generation of images. So you may have seen stuff like Stable Diffusion, where basically you give it a really, really fuzzy image and you tell it that you give it a prompt, and then it turns that fuzz into what the prompt says that is really behind that. And it's a really cool idea for the technique. But anyway, point being, there are some really exciting developments in the AI field, ways to in bringing this stuff to the consumer level, to where it's accessible to all of us. And so, that's got some good and bad elements, but it's really exciting nevertheless. So lots of cool stuff happening here in 2023. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.